taxes. Hey. Now that we have paid the landlord, it is time that we get to work, right? Uh, okay. Okay. Let us get to work, guys. How are you guys doing? So now, as you guys see where we are currently looking at the we are currently looking at the dollar, guys, you know. So now the question that is very important, and I think it's something that we have to also think about as well, right? So now when we're looking at the dollar, question is that what's the way forward? What do you guys think? What's the way forward when looking at the dollar? That is a question. We in the second phase. Okay, yes. So what are the likelihood that we actually might actually end up going a bit even far to the upside? What are the likelihood? Guys, we are talking, guys. I know that it's you know you want to sleep, but we're talking. We can't sleep now. Says that okay, it needs to go down to complete the third cycle, likely to go up to force liquidate early sellers. Okay, okay, okay. So now, well, for example, let's say maybe for example, like we have Donald Trump winning the election, right? So if Donald Trump does win the election, what does that mean for the dollar? Will that increase optimism in terms of like seeing the dollar strengthening in value, or will that itself have no detrimental impact or upon the dollar, like its future, it's already predetermined. Sorry guys, if you see me speaking like my nose, I was outside, I was out yesterday, so mind you, remember I no longer smoke. So right now, e ke bolela o kare, um, ka dinko, ka Sepedi re ko bolela ka dinko, like when I speak, it's like when you hold your nose and you speak, it's something like that. So I was sitting next to people who were smoking, so I was secondhand smoking. So the smoke, obviously. Yeah. Okay. Okay, a slight increase in price before a decline. Okay. Ompile, yes, a slight increase in price. Right now, we have had that slight increase in the value of the dollar, right? Because like this push to the upside is not something small. It's actually a significant change. They actually added $4 from the 100, which it was like last month it was trending around $100. So it actually increased by $4 extra. That is not a small increase. That is a significant increase. That's $4 is a huge amount of money in terms of like if you do the conversion, it is a huge amount of money. So like that increase is a big increase. So now, um, you say that the investors seems to trust, okay, if he wins. Okay, now, so would think the dollar will strengthen in value provided that Donald Trump wins. Okay, if Donald Trump wins, we might see an increase in price. Okay, increase in price to what extent? Increase in price to the extent whereby, because if you can look where we currently are, when you say an increase in price, what are you looking at? Are you saying an increase in price to an extent whereby we can even reach these historical levels? I mean, from where we currently are, because where we are positioned itself by technicality, one can consider this type of situation where there has been, it's a historical value that practically provided resistance like unto the market, isn't it? Roughly, 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 something like that. But we do see that historically this did provide a bit of resistance. And once the market came back into that region, also we have seen the same thing occurring, right? So now would you also consider this as being a level that has been tested multiple times? But again, you have to also factor in that um when we are looking at something, let's say, for example, we are looking at this area where we say like, okay, this is, for example, this area here, we say that this level has been tested multiple times, right? You have to also consider that the duration in which the market spends away before it comes back and retests that set level, right? Because if it takes a long time to come back into that specific region, what occurs is that now the probability of that level providing a resistance or a support, they starts to increase, isn't it? Because of how far it has been away from that area. Because each and every time, whenever the price advances, it only favors those that are aligned with the direction of the set asset, isn't it? For example, if I am aligned and even my portfolio, it's aligned and it's favored by the dollar strengthening, it favors me, isn't it? But someone who is expecting the dollar to reduce in value and his portfolio, it actually requires that the dollar reduce in value. For them to gain profit, the dollar has to be less. It has not, it hasn't, like the exchange must be less as compared to, you know, do you guys understand what I'm saying? Are you following? Okay. Now, I'm gonna give you a simple illustration, right? Everything I share with you guys, it's always been simple, right? So now let's say, for example, that this area here, right? I get it when we are looking at it from this perspective, we're just going to consider that this was like, a support level, a previous swing low that was formed. Once it's been liquidated, obviously it becomes a resistant, right? We're just going to put it as that, right? So meaning that like upon the price breaking below that level, now this area also acts as a resisting price. So when the market comes back to that region, the market is able to resist it and that will lead to a reduction in price. That when that occurs, question is that if we had push to the upside back into this region from this area, not actually spend time away from it. Well, question is that would we have seen the same thing occurring like this?